He knocked softly at the door and raised his voice over the storm. "Hey," he called. "Are you in there? It's me." The door opened with a creak, and the sound of the rain grew louder for a moment as she let him in. He stepped inside, dripping water onto the floor. "I know it's late," he said, "but I saw the whole block go dark. The power's out from the storm. I just wanted to check on you. Are you okay?" He saw that she was shaking. "God, you're trembling," he murmured. "You're not hurt, are you?" She shook her head. Relief flooded his face. "Thank God," he breathed. "You're all right. I was worried when you didn't answer your phone." He laughed softly. "Yeah, the cell service is probably down too. This storm is pretty wild." He closed the door, cutting off some of the noise of the rain, and shrugged off his wet jacket. Water dripped onto the floor. "I'm soaked," he apologized. "Sorry, I probably dragged in half the rain." "You don't have to apologize," he said, stepping closer. "Of course I'd come. You know me always your personal knight in shining armor, right?" Thunder rolled again. He noticed her shiver. "You're freezing," he said, seeing that she was only in her pajamas. "Come here." He draped a blanket over her shoulders and wrapped one arm around her, speaking softly and reassuringly. "There we go. I've got you. Don't worry. I'm right here." For a moment, there was only the sound of their heartbeats and the rain. "You know," he murmured, "this reminds me of that time we watched a horror movie and the power went out. You clung to me just like this." He gave a warm laugh. "It's okay. I didn't mind. Honestly, I liked being the one you held on to." Another rumble of thunder made her tense, and he instinctively pulled her closer. "Shh," he whispered. "It's all right. I've got you. It's just thunder. Try to ignore it." He kept his voice calm and low. "I'm not going anywhere," he said, holding her securely. He took in a deep breath. Despite the storm, she smelled like home. He smiled. "You smell nice," he said softly. "Even in the middle of a blackout and a storm, you smell like home to me." He realized what he had just said and cleared his throat. "I brought a flashlight and some extra candles," he said quickly. "Let me just." He set the flashlight on the table with hands that trembled slightly from adrenaline and from the closeness of her. "That should give us a bit more light," he remarked. "Cozy enough, right?" They sat down together on the couch. "How are you feeling now?" he asked. "A little better?" He listened and nodded. "I know, storms can be scary," he agreed. "Honestly, I was a bit on edge at my place too, but then I thought of you here all by yourself, and I just had to come make sure you were safe." "Of course I care," he said softly. "I care about you a lot. You're my best friend." He looked at her face in the candlelight. "The truth is," he confessed, "there's nowhere I'd rather be right now than here with you." The rain softened for a moment, thunder rolling farther away. He noticed her wide eyes. "Your eyes are still a little wide," he said gently. "Here, look at me." He tilted her chin up with a fingertip, meeting her gaze. "We're okay," he said. "Both of us. It's just a storm. It will pass." He brushed his thumb across her cheek, voice affectionate. "You've always hated thunder," he mused. "I remember when we were kids, you'd call me whenever there was a big storm. Even if it was 2 a.m, I'd stay on the phone with you until you fell asleep. Remember?" He chuckled softly. "You do remember?" "Good," he said, warmth in his tone. "I'd do anything to make you feel safe. You know that, right?" She smiled and nodded, and he realized how close they were. He could hear their heartbeats. He laughed nervously. "I can hear your heartbeat," he said. "Or maybe that's mine. Sorry. I'm a little hyped up from literally running through the storm to get here." A flicker of lightning lit her face for a moment. He stared. "You look beautiful right now," he said, almost without thinking. "The candlelight suits you." They stared at each other in the dim light. The air felt thick with unspoken feelings. The rain drummed on the glass. His voice trembled as he said, "I've never seen you quite like this. So close, and in this light." He leaned in slightly. "Has anyone ever told you how amazing you are?" He whispered. He swallowed hard, heart pounding. A faint rumble rolled through the sky. He gathered his courage. "I might be drenched and half frozen," he said, his voice soft. "But being here with you, holding you, I feel warm." Their faces were inches apart. His voice dropped to a whisper. "Tell me if I'm wrong," he breathed, "but I feel like you feel it too." She did not pull away. He took that as an answer. He spoke softly. "If I'm misreading this, stop me now." A second passed with no protest. He exhaled and whispered, "All right." He slid his hand up to cradle the back of her head gently. "I'm going to kiss you now," he murmured. They paused for a breath, and then he closed the small distance between them. Their lips met in a soft, tentative kiss. The rain drummed on the roof as they kissed for the first time. He whispered her name between kisses, his voice filled with awe. The initial hesitation melted away. The kiss deepened, growing warmer and more urgent. He cupped her face with one hand. His other arm stayed around her blanketed shoulders, pulling her closer. "You feel so good," he whispered against her lips. He kissed her again, slower this time, savoring the moment, his heart hammering in his chest. "I've wanted to do that for her. I don't even know how long," he confessed when they paused to breathe. He rested his forehead against hers, and they both breathed a little unsteadily. "You have no idea how crazy you drive me," he admitted with a nervous laugh. He touched her cheek with his thumb. "I promised myself I'd never ruin what we have," he said. "But if this is a dream, I never want to wake up." She murmured something softly, her fingers curling into his shirt. He smiled, his eyes shining. "You wanted this too?" he asked, surprised and relieved. "You have no idea how happy that makes me," he said, laughing softly. Thunder rumbled again, but this time they hardly noticed it. The storm was distant compared to the heat building between them. With newfound confidence, he leaned in and captured her lips in another passionate kiss. There was no hesitation now. His hand slid from her face into her hair, tangling his fingers gently. "You taste so sweet," he murmured between kisses. He trailed a line of soft kisses from the corner of her mouth along her jaw. "I can't believe this is happening," he breathed, nuzzling her neck and breathing in her scent. His warm breath skimmed her skin. "I've imagined holding you like this," he whispered, "kissing your neck, hearing you gasp my name so many times." He found the tender spot just below her ear and pressed a slow, sensual kiss there. Then he whispered playfully, "Is this okay?" She responded with a soft sound of encouragement and clutched at his shirt. A thrill ran through him. "God," he murmured, "the sounds you make, you have no idea what you're doing to me." He pulled back just enough to look into her eyes. Both of them were flushed with desire. "You're so beautiful," he said. Lightning flashed briefly, illuminating her face. Her lips were swollen from his kisses. Her eyes were heavy-lidded with longing. The sight took his breath away. "I love you," he whispered, full of emotion. "I've loved you as a friend for years. Somewhere along the line, I fell in love with you. All of you." He searched her face, his heart pounding. She answered him with a deep, passionate kiss that erased all doubt. He groaned softly into her mouth. One of his hands moved down to her waist. His fingertips brushed the hem of her thin pajama top and grazed the warm skin beneath. "Is this okay?" he asked, his voice rough with need. "Can I?" He held still, letting her decide. She guided his hand under the fabric and pressed his palm flat against her waist. He drew a sharp breath. "Ah," he murmured, "your skin is so soft." He let his hand explore slowly, sliding up her side. His fingers splayed across the small of her back, then traveled higher, feeling the heat of her body under his touch. They shifted on the couch, limbs tangling. He leaned over her, gently laying her back against the cushions, while kissing her fervently. His voice came out ragged between breaths. "I need you. I need you so bad," he whispered. A pillow fell to the floor with a soft thud. He chuckled against her lips. "Maybe the couch isn't the best place for this," he said. He kissed her deeply once more, and then stood, gathering her into his arms in one smooth motion. She wrapped her arms around his neck as he lifted her. "Hold on tight," he whispered, laughing softly through his own breathlessness. "I've got you." He grinned at her, his eyes full of adoration. "My damsel in distress," he teased, saved from the storm and now swept off her feet. He winked playfully, but his voice dropped low again with heat. "Let's go somewhere a little more comfortable." He carried her toward the bedroom. Their lips found each other again along the way. They shared quick kisses and breathless laughter as excitement built. In a teasing whisper, he asked, "You would tell me if you had any second thoughts, right?" She silenced him with another hungry kiss. He groaned appreciatively and nudged the bedroom door open with his shoulder. "I'll take that as a no," he said quietly. They disappeared through the bedroom doorway. The darkness swallowed them, except for the faint glow of the flashlight left behind in the living room. He closed the bedroom door with a gentle kick and laid her down on the bed with care. The room was nearly dark, save for faint flashes of lightning through the curtains. He hovered over her, both of them breathless and trembling with anticipation. "Are you sure?" he asked softly. She answered by pulling him down into another deep kiss. He smiled against her lips. "Okay," he murmured. He kissed her, as his hands roamed gently over her body, exploring tenderly. His fingers slipped under the hem of her pajama top and slowly lifted it. She helped him pull the soft fabric up and over her head, tossing it aside. He paused, gazing down at her silhouette in the next flash of lightning, utterly captivated. "You're incredible," he whispered. He ran a hand along her newly exposed skin, tracing from her collarbone down over the curve of her breast and further down to her waist. She shivered under his touch, and he followed that path with warm, reverent kisses. "So beautiful," he breathed, kissing a sensitive spot on her neck. He cupped her breast and caressed softly, drawing a soft sound from her. He listened with delight. "I love those sounds," he murmured. "Keep making them for me." He kissed lower, peppering her skin with slow, hungry kisses. Her fingers raked through his hair as she held him close. Her breaths grew quicker. After indulging in the warmth of her skin, he rose to pull off his own damp shirt. She reached up and ran her hands over his bare chest, feeling the muscles beneath. He caught his breath, reveling in her touch. "I'm not dreaming, right?" he whispered, smiling down at her. "You're really mine, finally." She guided his hand to the waistband of her pajama shorts. He hooked his fingers there, heart pounding. "May I?" he asked. She gave him permission. Gently, he slid the last of her clothing down her legs, leaving her bare beneath him. He took a second to admire her, his voice filled with emotion. "You're perfect," he whispered. He moved back over her, so that their bodies were skin to skin. They both gasped softly at the intimate heat as he settled between her thighs. His voice was low, tinged with desperation. "I need you right now," he whispered. They shared another feverish kiss. When it broke, he looked into her eyes, positioning himself carefully. "I love you," he whispered hoarsely. "So much." With care, he joined their bodies. A deep, unrestrained moan tumbled from his lips as a wave of sensation washed over them both. He braced himself, arms trembling with the effort of holding back to let her adjust. She dug her nails into his shoulders and he groaned at the mix of pleasure and pain. "You feel unbelievable," he whispered. He began to move in a gentle rhythm, each motion drawing a gasp or whimper from them both. Their bodies synced naturally, years of pent-up longing, pouring out with every movement and kiss. "You're everything I've ever wanted," he whispered, broken and breathless. She wrapped her legs around him, pulling him closer. He cursed softly under his breath at how good it felt. He lowered himself to bury his face in her neck. "I can't get enough of you," he murmured, voice thick with need. Outside, the storm gradually waned. The thunder was distant now. In the quiet that followed, only their ragged breathing and soft cries of pleasure remained. His pace quickened instinctively as the heat built between them. He held her tight, whispering her name like a prayer. "I'm close," he warned, his voice rough. He felt her body tense and heard her voice catch. He lifted his head to watch her face, wanting to see her moment of bliss. "That's it," he whispered. "Let go for me, beautiful." With a few more deep, urgent movements, they reached their peaks together. A wave of ecstasy crashed over them, leaving him shuddering and her clinging to him as they rode it out in each other's arms. He collapsed gently beside her, drawing her with him so they lay tangled together on the bed. Both of them panted, hearts racing as they came down from their high. He laughed softly, amazement coloring his voice. "Wow," he breathed. He brushed damp hair away from her face and kissed her forehead tenderly. "You are incredible," he whispered. That was everything. He wrapped his arms around her. They both still glowed with warmth. "Are you okay?" he asked, his voice tinged with concern. "I didn't hurt you, did I?" She shook her head, or whispered that she was more than okay. He sighed in relief and cuddled her closer. "Good," he said. "I want you to feel just as amazing as you make me feel." Outside, the rain had eased to a gentle patter. He reached down and pulled the blankets over them both. "Here," he murmured. "Let's get under the covers. Can't have you catching a chill after all that." They snuggled beneath the blanket. He tilted her chin up so he could see her eyes in the darkness. "I meant every word I said," he told her earnestly. "I love you." His voice was soft and vulnerable and quiet. "Not just for tonight, not just because of what we shared," he said. "I've been in love with you for so long." "Perhaps," she whispered, "I love you too." He closed his eyes in pure bliss and let out a delighted breath. He pressed a slow, sweet kiss to her lips. "You have no idea how good it feels to hear you say that," he said with a smile. He tucked her head against his chest. They were spent and content, their legs gently intertwined under the covers. "Think you'll be able to sleep now?" he asked with a soft chuckle. After what they'd shared, they were both perfectly exhausted and relaxed. "The storm's almost gone," he murmured. "Seems like we made our own heat to chase it away." He rubbed her back soothingly and spoke in a low murmur. "Go ahead and close your eyes, sweetheart," he whispered. "I'm not going anywhere. Tomorrow," he said softly, "we'll figure everything out. But right now, I'm exactly where I want to be." He listened as her breathing slowed, and she began to drift off in his arms. "Sweet dreams," he whispered against her hair, holding her tight. Outside, the rain finally faded to a soft drizzle. The chaos of the storm had passed, leaving a calm, warm hush in its wake. In each other's arms, they slipped into a peaceful sleep, secure and entwined, knowing this was just the beginning of their story.